recorded. There we go. Fantastic. Just on time. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the July meeting of the San Mateo County Parks and Recreation Commission. So I would like to call this meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, let's go. Item 2, roll call. Janice, could you please take roll?
Commissioner Mariles?
Here.
Commissioner Green?
Here.
Commissioner Okello?
Present.
Commissioner Mane? There he is. Commissioner Mane?
Present.
Thank you. And Chair Laguna?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, full house. Great. Okay, let's move on to item 3, the resolution authorizing virtual commission meetings. So as we've been doing the past couple months, once again, we'll need to adopt a resolution to continue to meet virtually. I guess before we move on, I think we have to open this one up for public comment. So maybe Janet, you can use this opportunity to read the public participation instructions for the audience.
Thank you, Chair. For those attending the meeting on the Zoom video conference, we will use the raised hand feature in order to organize any public comments. During the general public comment period, and for each item on the regular agenda, I will ask those members of the public who wish to comment to click the raised hand feature to raise your hand to speak on that agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Please note that members of the public must wait for my prompt in connection with each agenda item before using the raised hand function. For example, you cannot raise your hand at the beginning of a meeting for an agenda item that is later in the meeting. When you hear your name called, I'll prompt you to unmute your account and inform you that you may begin speaking. So I do see one hand raised for this item, Carlo Ann Young.
Great. And this is for item 3, the resolution authorizing virtual commission meetings.
Yes.
Great. Fantastic.
Okay, yeah, her hand was lowered. So
Okay.
Okay, carry on.
Great. Thank you. All right. So I guess just to move this item along. So given the ongoing state of emergency, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the Parks Commission to meet virtually in July, given the imminent risks of meeting in person. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Janet, can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Mariles?
Aye.
Commissioner Green?
Aye.
Commissioner Okello?
Aye.
Commissioner Mane?
Aye.
Chair Laguna?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Great. Thank you. Now that we have that out of the way, we will move on to item 4, which is public comment. So this is going to be the opportunity for individuals to address items that are not on the agenda. So Janet, you've already read the participation instructions. So maybe let's just get into it.
Perfect. I do see one hand raised for Carlo Ann Young. Please accept this invitation, unmute your microphone, and you may begin speaking. You have 2 minutes. Can you hear us? Hi, go ahead.
Hi, Carlisle Ann Young, Moss Beach. I was calling, wondering, I haven't had a chance as I just came in from another outdoor meeting and to get on Zoom. So I apologize if this question has to do with something that's on your agenda, but I was going to ask if there's any current plans for more parking at Quarry Park, because I know you guys are working on the pump track. So I think that's really important in case it draws a lot of visitors that you already have parking ready. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have anybody else with their hand raised, Chair.
Great. I believe there is an update as part of the Parks Department update on Quarry Park and the launch. So there'll probably be another opportunity to ask any other questions post that later on in the agenda. Okay. All right. So speaking of the agenda, we're moving on to item 5, which is action to set the agenda. So I'd like to make a motion to set the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Marlies,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Okello,
Aye.
Commissioner Mane,
Yes.
Chair Laguna.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Great. Okay, moving right along. We'll move into item 6, which is the Parks Foundation Executive Director's Report. Michelle, oh, there you are.
Good afternoon, commissioners, staff, and guests. My name is Michelle Beasley. I'm the Executive Director of the San Mateo County Parks Foundation. And I have just 3 quick items to share with you today. First, we are excited to check out the Quarry Park pump track on July 16th. The foundation is happy to have contributed some funding to this project, and I hope to see all of the commissioners there a week from Saturday. Second, the foundation is excited and seeking to continue our support of Friendship Park, which is located in North Fair Oaks and has 31 raised garden beds. We're looking to continue to support it with dedicated park intern support, as well as providing supplies like seeds, and then also events. In fact, we're very excited that this summer, we are supporting a number of field trips for community-based organizations in East Palo Alto and North Fair Oaks to go out to Huddart Park, Coyote Point, Fitzgerald Marine Reserve. So that's all happening almost pretty much in the month of July. See that going. And then I mentioned that this last month, and this event happened, the foundation was proud to support Voices of Recovery in San Mateo County and the African American Community Initiative's Juneteenth virtual event, which focused on fatherhood. And so featured Sam McDonald County Park. So that was really great to see. We raffled off a bunch of, we raffled off an annual pass and gave out day parking passes as door prizes. So really look forward to continuing our support of those efforts. And that's my update. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Michelle. Any comments from any of the commissioners?
Yeah, I had something to say. It's a comment, it's not a question. And I just wanted to say thank you. You know, as we're looking at ways to get new users into our park system, it seems to me that you're a really good example in that you do things to get people who otherwise wouldn't necessarily go to the parks to be introduced to parks through movies and different activities. So I think what you're doing is great, and maybe we could even build on what you're doing with other policies, but it seems like you're going in the right direction. So thank you.
Great. Commissioner Green had her hand up.
For the annual pass, is that for parking? Is that what that pays for?
As the annual park pass, yeah, it gets you into all the parks that charge for parking for free for a year.
So that just made me wonder if there's any, if you're aware of any update about what's happening with that. I thought that they were going to make all the parks free, or maybe some.
I don't have an update for that. Question for somebody else.
Maybe Nicholas knows.
Yeah, that so the Board of Supervisors has the subcommittee that was originally presented or created as a result of the department's presentation of the Mariposa program. So we are still working through that process with the board subcommittee, but no update on that at this time.
What is that process?
So the board subcommittee is comprised of Supervisor Horsley and Supervisor Groom. And so we held a meeting earlier this year, and the outcome of that was the directive to conduct a comprehensive fee assessment, as well as to complete the interpretive program strategic plan and bring both of those back to the subcommittee. And so we are just at this time advancing both of those documents and gonna be hopefully finishing that up shortly and being able to present that to the board subcommittee with the intent of providing both documents and a full recommendation to the board by the end of the year.
Okay.
Commissioner Mena, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Look, I'm out just to echo what Commissioner Merrily was saying. I've always had high regards for Ms. Beasley, for Michelle. I'd like to think of her as the Inspector Gadget / MacGyver of thoughts, seeing that it's going to be zero chance, I mean, absolute zero, that we're ever going to see each other for a long, long time. Like, especially with these brand new variants and more variants and variants times 95 power, that we're probably not going to be seeing each other for quite some time. But, you know, what Michelle has thought outside the box to increase awareness that, hey, just because we're going through pandemic, you know, their parks are outdoors. There are these great events, you know, attend, just be cautious. I think parks, even though is seen as a, you know, not a heavyweight, it's still an important part of commissions. And Michelle brings that, you know, outside the box idea to open it to communities and to folks that want to attend events. And, you know, I had the liberty of attending a lot of San Francisco Juneteenth events. So, you know, kudos to you, Michelle, for kind of being that, holding that Merlin's, you know, magic stick and just kind of opening eyes to surrounding communities and those interested in parks. So applause to you for doing what you do.
Great. Any other comments from the commissioners? Okay, I actually had one, and Michelle, apologies for not being able to attend the last couple of board meetings. It's been a little bit of a struggle. I'll do better in the second half. But I did want to know a little bit about, because I know I was talking with Katie at the Eastern Promenade event about like Coyote Nights or some of those other events. So what's the status of those? I thought that there would be some other event, Coyote Nights type events, but I wasn't sure what we have in plan, if at all anything, this summer.
Yeah, we don't have anything right now. I had
Okay.
reached out to REI. In fact, I was hoping they could participate in the pump track opening, but it actually conflicts with their inventory. But I plugged the Coyote Nights and they expressed some interest. So there's just been a changeover in staff and we're just developing relationships. So the door is open though. So I've got them interested in Coyote Nights and just trying to get a little bit of momentum going on that. So
Great.
I hope to have more on events soon to share.
Such a fun event. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those things come back online. Great. Okay, if there's nothing else from the other commissioners, we'll open it up for public comment.
Thank you, Chair. Opening up for public comment, I do see one hand raised from Carol Ann Young. Please accept this invitation, unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Did Michelle just disappear? Is she on still? Oh,
Yeah.
there you are. Okay. Your camera went off for a minute. This might be a Nicholas question, or it might be Michelle, but every time you guys mention the pump track, you forget that Mid-Coast mitigation fees of $250 were used, and you should acknowledge it. It was the first seed money just to develop the idea of the pump track, and they took it as a books only entry off of our interest bearing account into the Parks Department account. But you always mention Granada Community Services District as a donor, and you ought to mention the Mid-Coast Parks Mitigation Fund as well. Would you mind doing that if you're going to have a ribbon cutting or any kind of opening, soft opening for the pump track?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I am not organizing the event on the 16th, so I think that would probably be a part of it, but thank you for raising that piece. So I apologize that I didn't mention it. But
that's okay. As long as they get some acknowledgement when they do the ribbon cutting, I think I'll be satisfied. Thanks.
Thank you. I have one more hand raised for Fran Pollard. Please accept this invitation, unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I just have a question, really. Is Nicholas made his presentation or not? I was waiting for that. Do you still have a presentation to do, Nicholas?
Yes.
All right, then I'll wait and speak after that.
Okay, thank you. We have no more speakers, no more hands raised, Chair.
Great, thank you. Which does lead us to item 7, which is our department update. So yeah, I think for members of the audience, if you guys can, I believe that the agenda gets put out prior to the meetings with some time. So yeah, definitely take a look. But we are now on item 7, which is the department update. So I'll hand it off to the Parks Department to provide the latest update.
Chair Laguna, thank you so much. Speaking of the agenda getting published, right? So the agenda gets published with a packet. As part of that packet now is a written report from the department. And so that report contains the department's update to the commission and to the public. The one thing I did just want to call special attention to is the July 16th ribbon cutting for the Quarry Park pump track. And as has been stated so far on this meeting, this was a great partnership between the Parks Department, the Foundation, the Granada Community Services District, some community groups, and as Sid stated, that is correct. The bulk of the funding was provided by the Mid-Coast Park and Rec Development Fund, which is a in lieu fee that people pay into when they do certain development projects on the Mid-Coast. And so really excited about this project. Again, it'll open on the 16th. We will be having a ribbon cutting as part of the update to the commission. There's a flyer with all the details included in that. As part of a different project, we are expanding the footprint of the parking lot at Quarry Park. So we will be adding additional parking spaces, and we're going through the necessary permitting process for that at this point. But looking forward to expanding that parking lot, and we are working with the school district. We're trying to get permits to use the El Granada Elementary School as a parking site for the ribbon cutting. So recognizing that on that day, because it is an event, we may exceed parking on site. We are going to have that offsite parking, which is just down the road. So it's not too far. It's actually a nice walk from that parking lot to the pump track site. So really looking forward to that ribbon cutting and providing this new amenity that will be a brand new use in the San Mateo County Park system. So other than that, again, all of our updates were provided in the written report, and happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Great, and I guess I'll start on this one. I did want, if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit more about the fire that was near and in the Edgewood Park. That might be a good one to kind of start with and dive a little bit deeper. But yes, like you said, all that stuff is listed in the actual packet and actually really informative in terms of the different projects that are going on in the Park Department.
Thank you, Chair. So as undoubtedly everyone's aware, there was a fire in the Emerald Hills community, which is unincorporated Redwood City. And the fire burned about 20 to 25 acres. And initial reports were that a bulk of that was in Edgewood Park. What turns out is that actually just a very small segment of that was actually in the preserve itself. And we've done some assessments as a department and have kind of gathered a list of the impacts to the preserve. One of the things that we'll monitor for is how the area that was impacted regenerates, but also as part of these incidences, first responders in this case, which I do think the first responders deserve recognition, which is pretty much all the fire agencies in the county. It was not just CAL FIRE, but it was Redwood City Fire, Woodside Fire, North County Fire, San Mateo Consolidated, Palo Alto was there, Menlo Fire was there. So this was really a joint effort. And in addition to that, I really could not be more proud of the way that park staff handled the situation, identifying the fire, calling it in, being present at the central command and following tasks as necessary, clearing the park. Park staff did a remarkable job and performed exactly as we would have wanted them to. So really want to make sure that they get recognition for that as well. But as part of these incidences, when responding, fire agency will typically or oftentimes cut dozer lines, but essentially bring a bulldozer to create a fire break. And so we will have to do some restoration in that area. But overall, this was not something like the CZU fire where it burned, 2,500 acres in one of our parks. It was a significantly smaller footprint. We did not lose any facilities or infrastructure. And so our natural resource management team will monitor the burn area as well as work to conduct restoration of the dozer line. And we'll also be working with the Friends of Edgewood to complete that as well.
Great. Yeah, and I thought it was a very, very well run response to it. Not only the Parks Department, but kind of across the board. It could have been a lot worse, and especially because it was threatening a lot of homes. The fact that the damage was minimized was really helpful. And I guess, well, and maybe you already answered my question saying that everything worked the way it was supposed to, but were there any lessons learned that we could apply? Because obviously that's not the only park that's near, housing or, could kind of go burn unfettered if not handled quickly. Any other lessons that we can apply to other parks, or is your assessment that, hey, all of the preparation and all of the processes that we've done, I think show that you guys are prepared for, if something else, God forbid, happens in another park?
Sure, look, more training is always appropriate, right? We always want to make sure that we're training and we're learning from incidences and incorporating that into our training. I think what stands out to me from this incident is first and foremost, the importance of doing fuel reduction work and doing it responsibly. We have a remarkable project that's underway that Hannah's leading in Edgewood right now. It happens to be in a different part of the preserve, but it's that type of work that is so important, that provides a disruption to the fuel that's present, that in some cases will be able to provide better access. That'll slow the rate at which a fire hopefully spreads. So continuing to do this work and doing it responsibly and thoughtfully was the first thing that this incident highlights. And then again, the second is making sure that staff is trained and understands the communication style that fire agencies are using so that they're able to provide the necessary assistance. I think those are really the two main takeaways. But I do want to take a second. We've always been very fortunate in San Mateo County that we have not had the same incidences that have occurred elsewhere in the state. But we cannot rest on that. We need to continue to do fuel reduction work. The work we're doing at Edgewood is important. We are doing a remarkable project at Quarry Park right now that is really thinning that entire project area out, and is really going to be representative of the type of work we need to continue to do out there and elsewhere in our system. So, what I would say is we need to just continue to do more, but I would say we've done more in recent years than ever before, and we will plan on continuing to do that.
Great. Yeah, and I have an update as part of the subcommittee to talk a little bit about some of the information that Hannah had put together for me. Yeah, really. I mean, I'm really excited that this thing has gotten kicked off and that there's plenty of funding. Okay, maybe I'll have some of the other commissioners if they have any comments or questions, open it up to them. Commissioner Green.
Thanks for the materials and the agenda. I think that's a really huge and wonderful improvement for folks to have an easy way to know kind of the topics that are coming. So especially to our frequent attendees, please do check out those documents that Nicholas referenced, because it's for all of us as members of the public to be able to preview and come informed. So excited about that. Also just wanted to ask to hear a little bit more about the fire that there was a prescribed burn, right? And I was just curious to hear a little more about that.
Commissioner, I think we haven't done a prescribed burn in our system.
Oh, okay, I saw one in the county, but I wasn't sure if it was a park or not.
So I know SFPUC did a prescribed burn.
Okay.
Hannah, are you aware of any other ones?
Well, I don't know if you would consider the burn piling project we did at Edgewood under the realm of prescribed burn. It's a bit more of a controlled, focused approach, but it was a tool we utilized at Edgewood recently. But it doesn't involve like broadcast burning, which is more typical for a prescribed burn, where you do, just sort of a low intensity fire burn through an area. These were small piled scrub and vegetation that were burned.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure if you're referencing that project, but that was something we did in Edgewood.
No, I think it was I think it must have been the PUC. I just got like a county notification, and I thought it was over near Crystal Springs, but it may have been on their land, not ours. And so I was just curious, like how it went. I know we had heard some about that practice at commission now a long time ago, but if that is something that the department would be pursuing.
Yeah, so it went, my understanding is it went well, and the way SFPUC does that is they do work with CAL FIRE on setting that up, and it takes a very long time to permit. Hannah, I'm not sure if you know, how long has SFPUC been burning that area? This is not the first time they've done it.
No, they've had a prescribed burn, in other areas in the watershed lands as well. I think they, have routinely done them at least annually in different areas for the past several years. The scale and the size of the projects is, I think maybe 10 to 15 acres or so. They're, relatively discrete project areas, but it is a tool they've been utilizing for a few years now.
Okay.
And the one thing I would say is prescribed burns are really effective tools at both reducing fuel and improving the ecological function of an area. However, the prep work that needs to go into preparing a land for a prescribed burn is very specific. And so you would not be able to go anywhere and lay fire down to burn that area, right? And so for us, I think like Pescadero Creek County Park, where the fire burned, like that area is probably set up to in the future be able to handle something like that. And some of the areas in the Huddart and Wonderlick Forest Health Project would also be set up for that. But there's a lot of areas in our system that are not ready for that. And the reason I raise that is because I have gotten questions from people saying, well, why don't you just go do a prescribed burn in this area? And if you were to look, it would be a really dangerous situation. So I always like to just throw that caveat out there so people are aware that it's more than just throwing fire on the ground. There's a lot of prep that goes into that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for noting that, and just, I guess, encourage us to look for opportunities to build that into our practice with where the land allows. Thanks.
Great. Do some of the other commissioners have comments or questions? All right, then maybe we'll open it up for public comment.
Thank you, Chair. I do have one hand raised for public comment, two actually, Carla Ann Young, followed by Fran Pollard. Ms. Young, please accept this invitation and unmute your mic when you're ready.
Hi, me again. I just wanted to say that there was a SMC alert about 2 months ago for a prescribed burn at Tomcat Ranch in Pescadero. It's a privately owned ranch, and they worked with CAL FIRE sort of, to do the prescriptive burning, but also in order to have training for CAL FIRE employees or firefighters. So that was one thing that you might have thought had Mrs. Green that you saw, but that was on the coast down near Pescadero. But regarding fire, I've suggested before, maybe not to this group, but if you go up Jefferson in Redwood City, up in the Emerald Hills area, there's a fire station, and right out in front of the fire station, they have this little sign, and it says, it's like a thermometer from green to red, and it says fire danger today is, and it can be changed. So that would be great if you wanted to put that in parks that really do have fire dangers, such as Quarry Park or Edgewood. And I found out because when I heard about the Edgewood fire, I called both of my friends. I looked up on the Stonehaven website, and both of their particular property addresses were in the fire evacuation zone. One was on the west side of Jefferson, the other was on the east side of Jefferson. The east side is Woodside, and the other side is Emerald Hills / unincorporated Redwood City. Neither one of them were signed up for SMC alert. So, and one of them, I guess the power went out. I believe that fire in Edgewood was caused by, well, we won't say caused by, the cause is still undetermined, but a PG&E transformer was affected when the fire started around 2:30. And my friends who are in their 90s didn't even know about it. So that would be something that you guys want to consider. And also my last question is, does Quarry Park have a separate ranger, considering they're probably going to have a lot more visitors now? Because I know with the Gene Lauer Trail and the Fitzgerald Marine Reserve, they're both share of a park ranger with Pacifica. So hopefully it's not the same park ranger that has to cover Quarry Park too. Because I've been walking on the trails recently and seen people with off-leash dogs, and there was a mention on Nextdoor recently about people letting little kids pee in the picnic area at Fitzgerald. So it would be nice if you had a little more enforcement, especially with the pump track coming up in a tinderbox. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. We'll now go to Fran Pollard. Please accept this invitation and begin speaking when you're ready.
Hi, Fran Pollard, El Granada. I'm in the neighborhood that adjoins Quarry Park, and I'm really concerned about the pump track opening up next weekend, and that there has been no additional parking provided up until now. I'm really disappointed and disgusted that this hasn't been done. It's only been almost 10 years since you've owned 600 or 700 acres of Quarry Park, and not one additional parking space has been provided. I hope you commissioners will really step up and put this on the agenda and make sure it happens at the next meeting. And you're going to need more than what the few parking spaces that are going to be at the end of the current parking lot. There's only a few additional ones. As Carlisle said, there's going to be a lot more visitors now that that pump track, which seems to be one of a kind, is humongous, and it's going to attract attention from all over. I was told it's not on the website. I checked today, it's on the website. I was told that it was going to be, parking would be at the school parking lot, but there's no mention of that. I went today to look at the signs at the pump track. There's no mention of all the rules and regulations. There's no mention of parking at the school parking lot, and there's no mention on the flyer that's announcing it on the website or today on your agenda. So those are all things that need to be done before next weekend, please, and please create more parking somewhere in town, away from the neighborhood. We're being bombarded already, and I just can't even imagine what's going to happen once that opens. Oh, and you've decided 8 o'clock from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. is, you have to let them start that early in the morning. We can't even have a reasonable, quiet morning. I think 10 o'clock is early enough. 10 a.m. I think you should change that to 10 a.m. And the other important thing you have to consider is a dog park. I've mentioned this before. You have to put, because they're using the tot lot and the playground for playing with dogs, and that's going to ruin it for people and the kids. And that has to be something else that I wish you commissioners would put on your agenda and consider. People said they don't need it. People are using it every day as a dog park, and they do need it. It's just, I don't know why it's not being considered. It could be a trial thing, just like they're doing the trial off leash dogs. So those are my 2 comments. I'm really frustrated. And
Thank you, Ms. Pollard. And that was all the hands raised I have, Chair.
Great, thank you. All right, from here, we'll move on to item number 8, which is our subcommittee updates. So basically, if you guys remember or have been keeping track, we completed our work plan in June. So this month we've added subcommittee updates to the agenda. So this is an opportunity to provide any progress or discussion related to some of the work plan goals, as well as have any discussion on outstanding issues. Realizes the first time we're doing it, and since the work plan itself was only completed in June, you know, we may not have like perfect updates across the board, but I thought that it would be really good for commissioners to bring up any work completed since the last meeting, or provide any more information on plans. If there are questions that you have of the Parks Department as well, I think this is a great opportunity to do that. And basically make sure that we've got a forum to be able to discuss some of these different subcommittees and their goals. So I think we'll just go through each one of them. We'll see what happens and see kind of where we go with each one of them. But I do think it's important for us to start getting into the practice of providing some of these updates, even if, you know, there's not a ton of stuff to kind of go through. So I think we'll start first with the budget and performance subcommittee. So Commissioners Green and Akello, do you have any updates or any items to discuss as part of this subcommittee?
We spoke briefly, and I think we agreed Commissioner Green is going to take leadership on this one, at least today. And so
Great. Is she still on? I don't see her.
Yeah, I don't see her on anymore. I did not notice when she might have dropped off. I don't know if she lost connection or.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll.
I'll just summarize that.
Okay.
Really quickly. We of course understand that the department prepares the department is on a 2-year budget schedule, and so for the subsequent 2-year period, we understand that a lot of work is going to start probably in the fall. And so I think the subcommittee would just like to be engaged in the process in whatever manner that the department may feel comfortable with. Perhaps before anything is presented to the board, I think it would like to suggest that the subcommittee gets a chance to look at it. And so the subcommittee can be certainly supportive in the departmental presentation to the commission. And so we're just going to try to figure out in the next couple of months, the next couple of weeks actually, how we would like to integrate ourselves as a subcommittee in the budget process.
Great. Excellent. Yeah, and I think that's been the point of trying to kind of pull together a couple folks that are dedicated. So yeah, I think as you need more support from the Parks Department or other folks, I think yeah, let's figure out what's the right way, like you were saying, to be able to
Right.
get aligned into this process, and yeah, go from there. Cool. Great. Excellent. All right, so let's move next to the dog management subcommittee. So right now, it seems to be just Commissioner Merrilees. So Neil, I guess yeah, I'm assuming you're going to give the update. I don't know if you had any candidates for other folks or wanted to request other folks on the subcommittee, or if you had any updates in terms of what's been going on since we last spoke.
I think the dog management subcommittee is a placeholder. It'll be good to have. We may have issues come up. In fact, it might be nice to have an update at some future meeting from a couple of rangers, maybe on Pillar Point Bluffs or Quarry Park, to let us know how things are going and if there's any input that they need. So if there is something that we need to change or input that we need to give them, I'm sure that somebody will jump in and join me on that subcommittee, but I think we just need to have it.
Yeah.
For when something comes up.
I would agree. And I think that, and I don't know when might be the right time to kind of give an update as to where we are on this. And I don't know, sorry to put you on the spot, Nicholas and Hannah, but is this something that you guys would feel prepared to kind of give an update, or is it just as we start seeing results kind of come in and as this gets a little bit further down the road, being able to provide updates as needed? I'm just trying to figure out what would be the best way to make sure that we were getting all of the right input and updates on what's going on.
Chair Laguna, what we can do is, as part of the pilot program, the department monitors dog activity at Quarry Park multiple times a week, and every 2 months produces a monitoring report. Okay. In fact, the most recent one came into my email box in draft form today. So what we can do is, and all of those are on the department website. So what we can do is provide all of those to the subcommittee, and then as new ones come out, make sure that we forward that along to the subcommittee so that the subcommittee can continue to look at what activity we're seeing, how it's lining up with the monitoring terms, and being able to be informed that way.
Great, thanks, Nicholas.
Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable. Awesome. Okay, good. Let's move next to the Parks Naming Subcommittee. Commissioner Merrilees, Commissioner Kello.
Yeah, I'm really enthusiastic about that one. The first idea was to pick some areas that could use better naming, not renaming anything, but and work with the Native American community. And after contacting them, the Ramaytush Ohlone tribe, they're not quite ready to get involved in this. And I think we have to defer to them. They don't have any names for us to use at this point. But something we can think about in the future is to pick a generic name as a placeholder, Ohlone Meadow or something like that. Of course, we'd have to work with them to do that too. But before we got a specific name, it would be nice just to remind people when they come into the San Mateo County Park system that this was an area that was heavily populated. It was not wilderness. And the other thing I've been working with Ameda a little bit about is, Sam McDonald Park is such a great story. This guy came to San Mateo County with nothing and was able to acquire property and have a very nice life. And fortunately, that land got passed down to the park system. And so we're looking at Sam McDonald's book, Sam McDonald's Farm. It's recommended reading for everybody on the commission, I think. it tells a great story. And there may be some names, maybe his favorite horse or something like that. Maybe we could name some trails and tell a little bit more of his story as you walk around that park, which I think is a really great story. So that's something we've got to work on while we're waiting for other things to happen.
Great, fantastic. Okay, I'll go next on the fuel reduction subcommittee. So just two quick updates. So when we went through the work plan, the thought was that we would try to provide more visibility and transparency into a lot of the work being done, the priorities and the timelines for a lot of this work, as well as how these initiatives are being funded. And while I think up until now a lot of it has been within the month whenever there's something, what I really wanted to do was figure out what would be the best way to start talking through some of this information and really making sure that folks had a good understanding of what was going on. So I requested the Parks Department to put together a summary of some of these initiatives to start getting some of the work in the area going. And I wanted to give a few updates or maybe an overview of what's been done and a couple of the reflections that I've seen so far after seeing some of the detail around the fuel reduction work that's happened. So in looking at the sheet that the Parks Department shared with me, found that around 4.7 million has already been dedicated to fuel reduction in this year. And Hannah and Nicholas, correct me if I'm wrong or I got something wrong. I'm just going off of some of the detail that was put together, which is an amazing amount given everything that's been going on. Of that, around half, around 2.8 million of that funding actually has come in from grants, and the remainder has come in from Measure K, I think 1.7 million. And then there were some other sources of funding that came through. So really diverse set of funding, and not just only from Measure K. A lot of it has been these grants that have been coming up, and that the team has been aggressively applying for to be able to work on a lot of this stuff. So far, most of the funding to date has been focused on 3 parks. So Quarry Park, I think it's about 1.7 million. Wonderlic, a little shy of 700K, and Huddart, it's about 650K, have been the parks where a lot of the upfront work has been done and most of the funding has been dedicated to. But there's also work in progress across a number of different parks. Junipero Serra, there's been a fair amount of projects that have been initiated. Edgewood, as I think we mentioned, Memorial, Sawyer Camp Trail, I think a little bit of work in San Pedro Valley as well. So really good kind of cross section of a lot of the different parks that we have. And while a lot of it has been focused, and Nicholas, correct me if I'm wrong, in areas that had the most need, right, and that's where most of the funding has been kind of lined up, there's been a lot of work at a number of other parks to be able to go after it. Oh, do you have something to say, Nicholas? Oh,
sorry, I was scratching my eye.
Oh, okay.
No, you're doing a great job.
I thought you were disagreeing with me. Sorry.
Sorry. I had an itch. You're doing a great job. Keep going.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. So I think the other part, though, is for the remainder of the year, kind of into next year, there's going to be continued focus on all those parks we've been working on, but there are also some additional incremental projects that are either going to be funded or have been funded, or we're going to prioritize at other places like Pillar Point Bluff, Pescadero Creek, Sam McDonald. I think some of those had already been talked about earlier. For 2022 and beyond. So really excited to kind of see everything and a lot of the different projects that were going on. I know a lot of what we've had up until now has been the project that's in process of being completed. So thank you to the Parks Department for providing me with at least a little bit more of that information that we can actually begin to use. And this is the reason why I asked for this information. We want to plan to start pulling together a more comprehensive summary with the Parks Department, or be able to bake some of this stuff into department updates, or just in general, really being able to make sure that we provide these recurring updates on the prioritization of a lot of these initiatives, the funding that's being spent on a lot of these initiatives. As Nicholas mentioned before, this is a huge priority for the Parks Department. So I wanted to make sure that we were providing the right amount of visibility across the board. So over future meetings, we'll figure out what the right kind of deployment of a lot of this information will be, whether it'll be in the department updates or whether we'll have ongoing pieces. But I was really excited that that the team was able to put together some good information to really start to I guess ground us right on where we need to go, as well as the work that's being done across the board within the Parks Department. So that was the update there. The only other thing that I had was in terms of the fact that I'm the only member of this subcommittee. So if there is another commissioner that's interested and wants to work with me, just let me know, and we'll get you added, and we can make this thing work. But definitely looking forward to providing a lot more transparency and visibility on a lot of the work being done, with the thought that that we can make sure that and have, I guess, more visibility on what's being done across the board, because there is a lot of really good work being done on fuel reduction in the parks. Great. Okay. I guess that was my update. I guess from here we'll move into the next one, which is the Equity, Inclusion, and Access Subcommittee. I don't know if Commissioner Green has returned yet.
Yep.
No, oh, yeah, there you are. Awesome. Okay, so maybe what I'll do is I'll kick it off and then hand it to you to see if there's some additional things to kind of go after it. But couple of the reflections that I had in kind of looking through the work plan in particular is that there are no less than, I think, 5, and I forget if we called them goals or objectives or whatever it was, but there were no less than 5 of the line items within the work plan that actually fall within the Equity, Inclusion, and Access subcommittee. So a lot of really important work, not only in terms of the metrics that we use to demonstrate, parks' contribution to county health, well-being, safety, and equitability, idea update initiatives, reviewing programs that promote health and well-being, and I'm just reading off the work plan right now, but working with Parks Department staff to develop a standard set of information regarding populations served for programmatic presentations, and then updates from the department on how we're supporting inclusive practices and championing the principles of equity in tangible ways for park users. So lots of stuff there, right? So I think, obviously we want to be able to get to the point where we've got a little bit more of a crisp set of priorities for this particular subcommittee. But one of the things that I know both myself and Commissioner Green were asking for was maybe a little bit more information. And given the fact that this is only a month, since, I know that there wasn't, a ton of updates. There wasn't a formal update that was available. But one of the things that I would really like to request as we're continuing to move forward, and I think Hannah, you had already mentioned this in an email that both Commissioner Green and I were on, is when we're going to get an update on some of these pieces. I believe that update is going to be in August, assuming we have an August meeting. You will have an update, but I do know that there were other pieces and other things that that we'd love to be able to start to take a look at, so that we can start prioritizing and figuring out, what are the things that we want to kind of go after, given that long list that I just went through of 5 different things. So for me, I think a lot of it is figuring out how we can start getting more of that information available to the subcommittee, as well as to the broader organization, as well as the public. So I do feel, if there's any thoughts that you guys have around how we might be able to get more of that information, as soon as whenever our next meeting is, I think that would be really helpful. So from my perspective, that's kind of the big one, making sure that we can start getting, more regular calendaring of updates and really better information about what's going on, in the broader, interpretive plan, as well as the specific idea pieces of it. So that's my suggestion for us, so that we can start having more fruitful kind of updates for future meetings. But I know, Heather, you also had some specific things that you had requested as well, that obviously, I don't think we got it for this time around, but that would be really interesting for future meetings as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, does the department want to respond to the question that you posed first about materials, or?
Commissioner Green, if you want to go first, and then the department can respond to everything at once.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Sounds fine. So, I mean, well, we heard earlier today that, which was new information to me about, like the interpretive plan going hand in hand with the fee assessments that's going to go together to the board subcommittee. Is that right?
Commissioner Green, that is correct. They're not combined into one document, but
Right.
those two documents are the focus of the board subcommittee, correct?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I mean, I think there's just like a tremendous amount of overlap between what is getting prepared for that versus, like what I think some of the areas of interest delineated in our commission's work plan. And so, I know that obviously, like, we're here to advise the board, and now there's like this direct channel to the board. So I'm trying to understand how this body fits. Like, I would imagine that it would be like, we would hear items before they go to the board's subcommittee, and then we would at that time take an action item with like recommendation to, and support, I presume, or whatever. Is that how you're imagining rolling it out through December?
Commissioner Green, is that a question for me or Chair?
Yeah, I think so, because it's just a process question. Like I saw in sorry, I'll stop talking about, like, in Hannah had sent like kind of a projected calendar for commission, and it included an update on the interpretive plan, either next meeting or the following one, depending what happens with the next meeting, which is like next available opportunity. So that's great that it will be ready by then. But like, would that be at a point where we would be, because our function is to, I think we heard many times over the winter, like, our function is to make recommendations to the board. So like, are we going to be seeing something at that time that would enable us to make a recommendation that would inform that process? I think that seems important.
Commissioner Green, yeah. So, and this kind of ties into some conversations we've had at the commission in the past during development of the work plan, which was, so you'll recall the department presented the Mariposa program to the commission. The commission made a recommendation to the board. The department went to the board, presented the Mariposa program, and then the board created the subcommittee. So at this point, we, the department, are working directly with the subcommittee because two supervisors in particular have determined that they wanted to essentially have a more detailed involvement in this aspect of what the department's doing. So the recommendation that will go from the board is going to be from this board subcommittee, not the commission. So we do bring, when, depending on what the issue is, we will bring it to the commission, and then the commission will make, will decide whether it wants to make a recommendation or not and pass that forward to the board. And that's what happened in this case. This whole issue ended up evolving into something very different when the board subcommittee was created. So that doesn't mean that the commission is not going to be brought up to speed and provided information on this, but what it does mean is that these documents are going to take a different path, given that they've already been tied into a board subcommittee.
Sorry, so you're saying that's true of the interpretive plan as well now?
So the interpretive plan will be coming to the commission in August is the earliest that we bring that forward, and that's the plan. When it goes to the board, it will do so by way of the subcommittee of the board.
Great. So is this body able to make a recommendation to that subcommittee?
Yeah, I think it'd be more I have never worked in a situation where the commission would make a recommendation to the subcommittee instead of the entire board, but I certainly can do some more research on how that would work. Again, this is new territory for me, so
Yeah.
we're all kind of working our way through this for the first time together.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd like to know the answer, and if we are allowed to be able to do so, I would like that to be part of the workflow for our subcommittee on this topic. I think that makes sense. So if it's possible, I guess that's more of a Craig question. You guys can check back and let us know next time. And then the other question I had was just about the, well, I guess more of the reporting out rather than a question, but Hannah was kind enough to send the last of the IDEA initiative accomplishments, which came from November 2021, and those are tied to IDEA initiative goals around outreach, events, environmental education, access, and staff. So, you know, that was the latest available. So we learned that the accomplishments are from November 2021. Some of them are quantitative and others just more that like something happened. And I guess the question then, or maybe it's a comment to inform what comes before us eventually, but like, will the goals of the next interpretive plan and its associated IDEA initiative have like quantifiable goals? Because the goals that we have here are like, they're just verbs like promote and host a variety and engage, and that's great and everything, but it's really hard to know if any of the accomplishments are are like meeting or exceeding targets. And I know we have a handful of metrics, performance metrics that the department runs by, I get that. But for the plan and this initiative itself, like, is that something that you are currently working towards? And if not, could you?
So the first step is development of the plan, and strategic plans typically don't have quantifiable measures attached to them. The strategic plan is going to say essentially what you were saying, which is host these types of events, promote these type of activities, coordinate with these groups. So a strategic plan is going to be more of that higher level goal setting, and then the implementation that comes out of that will have the specific measures that activities can be gauged against. So the strategic plan will not have quantifiable or will not have measures either quantitative that can be measured quantitatively or qualitatively, but implementation strategy that comes out of that will.
Thank you. I guess I hear you, and I hear what you're saying. I don't agree with the statement that while they may not be like quantifiable, like numerical targets, like the examples that you gave were just to like, were more about do a thing rather than achieve a thing. So the difference between host an event versus like build community, like those are different in nature. And I hope that as the strategic plan comes together, that the goals associated with them are outcomes heavy and not just outputs, because it makes it much more motivational and also like build some ambition into everything that flows from it. So I guess I just hope that's there. Thank you.
Okay. So I obviously I think you got kind of the perspective from myself and Commissioner Green. Actually, I might even want to open it up to the other commissioners and see like are there any other things that you think might be kind of important or would be relevant? Because I know that, we're the subcommittee working on it, but I know the rest of you guys have a bunch of ideas as well. So I'm not sure if there are other thoughts you guys have, the other commissioners, on what we should be kind of going after as part of this subcommittee as well, but would love to hear it.
Or go ahead, Sam.
No, it's all right. I can wait.
Yeah, equity inclusion is a huge topic, and to me that is our mandate. That is the topic of the Parks Commission, and so I think if we're going to start a subcommittee, it would be nice to have an equity and inclusion meeting so that we could all talk about the goals for the subcommittee to be working on, which include many things, not just things that the Parks Department is working on now. I don't necessarily, on the Parks Commission, you get to look at things at a level that's up high, and we can think about things that haven't been done yet. And I don't want to always just review what the Parks Department is doing, but we can suggest things to be included in future planning, like reducing fees in some parks that really do keep out lower income people. Maybe some parks, that's not the issue, but I know there are people that don't go to some place to like Coyote Point because it costs money to go. And so we could talk about that. And we could talk about what we allow people to do in parks, because some of our parks that have the fewest visitors also have the fewest activities that are allowed. So we could talk about maybe allowing in each park in San Mateo County, maybe we could have one spot where you could ride a bike, for instance, and we don't have that yet. And that would allow people to get used to going to parks and doing something that they like to do. So we could talk about what's allowed and what's not allowed. We could talk about, what has been done in the past. What's worked, what hasn't worked. We tried a transportation plan at one point where we got a bus system funded. And we could talk about how well that worked, and whether it was transportation that was keeping people away from parks, or whether that's just too long-term to think about. Providing transportation in San Mateo County is a huge issue apart from parks. But yeah, the Parks Department did try that, and we can talk about how that worked. So I think before we get too far into equity inclusion, because equity inclusion is such a big part of what we're here trying to do, I think it would be nice to let people have a meeting and discuss kind of high level directions that we think are important.
I actually think that's a fantastic idea. And the more that, at least I as I started to get into it, I realized that it is broad, right? It goes across, like I said, 5 of the different goals on the work plan. So I think that's definitely appropriate. And I'd be happy to either schedule it as a special meeting, or maybe we take a future meeting and have it be a big chunk of it. So I think that's a great ad. Commissioner Manna?
Man, this is great. Count me in. You caught me. My hands are in the cookie jar. I mean, I echo what, I've even helped put on some DEI classes in SFO that I was part of, with diversity, equity, inclusion. And it's not just one, it's several coins in the piggy bank. It's not just one nickel, one dime, one penny, one quarter. It's many different type of coins. And it covers many, aspects of the game. I mean, that's what we initially want to be known as, a commission that's all about, different levels of interactions and, different levels of equity and multiculture and things of that nature. So I'm definitely on board in whatever it's going to take to help, climb Mount Rushmore with our name and what we're about, and what Commissioner Marilees was saying, that there are many levels of equity and inclusion that we can focus on. So, I mean, let's, if we can, entertain a motion, or if we can talk about a future meeting place, or have a special meeting in this regard regarding this subject.
That's great. Yeah, and the more you guys are talking, the more I'm realizing that, yeah, I think it is so broad that we are going to need to spend some more time as a broader commission talking about it. Commissioner Kello.
I think I'm going to have an opposing view, because I think we created this subcommittee infrastructure so that we could have a smaller body, work in a specific area, and then bring it back to the commission for discussion. That's the reason we established the subcommittee. So I think let's let the subcommittees work. Let the subcommittee chew on this one and come back to the commission with really very specific, recommendations, just like the other subcommittees. And the entire the entire commission will get an opportunity to discuss. And so I think that would be my perspective on it. We created these subcommittees for a reason. Let the subcommittees work on something. Bring it back to the commission with specific recommendations as to what direction the subcommittee would like the commission to go. And then the commission is going to have an opportunity to discuss it. I'm not totally supportive of having the entire commission essentially do subcommittee work at a special meeting.
Okay. No, that's a fair point. At the same time, I don't think that your viewpoint is diametrically opposed from what everyone else said, right? It's just all in how we pull everything together and how we actually discuss it. Yeah. So and that's actually probably going to be the next point here, which is how do we kind of move forward on it. Obviously, we can talk about it in one of our future items, right? In terms of the next items for future agenda. But I'd be even happy to have Heather and I kind of take a crack at it, and then maybe use kind of the majority of a future commission meeting to be able to kind of validate, get everybody's input, and kind of do all that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think your viewpoint is diametrically opposed. It's just kind of the logistics, right, and how we go about doing it, which I think, and Heather, hopefully you agree as well. I'm fine taking a crack at it, and then bringing it up to the broader commission to kind of think through, what makes sense, or if they have some input as well.
Exactly. So yeah. I agree with your comments.
Okay. I think Neil's point about before we get too far down the road is, we're already on the road, but I think, the longer things go on, the harder it gets to change direction. So.
That's true. Okay. Good. All right. Any other thoughts on the Equity, Inclusion, and Access Subcommittee before we move on to the last two? Great. That was a fantastic discussion. Thanks everybody for your input on that one. All right, let's move to transparency and visibility. Commissioner Green, Commissioner Manna.
Do you want to start, Sam, or would you rather I?
I will elect that to our Commissioner Green, and I'll follow suit.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thanks. I think for me, for transparency, I think we're a lot of what, everything we're doing is trying to bring to light and share with the public, and understand better. So there's that. I really have just a couple of really specific goals, I think, for at least for the short term for this subcommittee. that are in line with some of the things we've discussed before. One of them already happened. It's so exciting that the materials, even for discussion items, are now getting published with our agendas. So thank you so much. We have one less thing to think about. I would just hope we continue that practice. I think it's really, really valuable. And if the public can get, I know my phone call was coming in while I was talking about this before, but if the public can get in the habit of checking those in advance, you know, I just think it's really great that we know if something's gonna come up in any kind of level of detail. That's just really great. I think one thing that would help and hopefully doesn't feel like a big pain beyond that would just be like in the agenda itself to include like any kind of just like a brief descriptive listing or bullets or, you know, just in italics with the item's name to give a quick list of what all is in it. And then maybe this is gonna get better now too, but like where looking at our archive and then the meeting materials from prior meetings, like the archive is just, you know, now we have a little more administrative people power, which is great. So, you know, going back and also going forward, making sure that any presentations that were not published along with the agenda do make it into the record. Because like when I go look back at, say, March 29th, it says there's some note like, you know, not ready yet or whatever. So like these things happen and they're easy to clean up. Just need a little time, which is hard to come by, I realize. But I just really want to focus on the concrete nuts and bolts because I think once those are there, it's just a lot easy. It's easier to breathe easier, a little more confidence and knowing you can find what you need when you need it. And then Sam, I don't know if you have other things for the subcommittee.
So I look at things in the perspective that, you know, we want to be we want to provide as much information as we can possible. And what I mean by that is to know that we as a subcommittee have to look at, okay, what's kind of, and I don't mean this in full detail, but what's kind of our end game with this subject matter? What is it that we're trying to achieve? What are we trying to put forward? And I had written down in some notes here, you know, what can myself and Commissioner Green do to, you know, further increase, you know, awareness and communication with this? You know, it would have been so much better. And I know it's, you know, we're continuing, we want to stay safe. We want to, you know, with all these, you know, new variants arise. It's, for me, I'm a visual person. I like to you know, embrace and be very receptive in delivering the message. But now with, you know, more health and safety protocols, you know, we probably won't see each other for a long time to put forth these efforts that, you know, all the respective subcommittees are putting together. So I think we have to just kind of use our imagination and think outside the think outside the box and try to get as creative as possible, just so we can put forth what our kind of game plan is. And that's the difficult thing that we have been dealt with such a nasty, not just a nasty curveball, but a nasty curve fastball. And now we just are going to continue virtual for God knows how long. And I mean, I would have liked to, you know, because this is, you know, when you're on these kind of committees, you really want to put forth the effort just so that, you know, your fellow commissioners know that, you know, due diligence is you know, is brought to the table and that you're doing your part to increase awareness. So, I mean, that's kind of where I am. I mean, it's just echoing what Commissioner Green said. And, you know, I really wish that, you know, we can do this in person rather than just, but I mean, it is what it is now. I mean, we don't have control over this right now.
Great. All right. Anything else on transparency and visibility before we jump onto the partnerships and connections? All right. Let's shift over to that. Commissioner Merrilees, Commissioner Kello.
Members of the commission. This subcommittee is really entrusted with the responsibility of goal number 4 in our action plan. And some of the activities that we're going to suggest that we do are geared really towards increasing our visibility and providing equitable utilization of our facilities and our resources and improving access to county parks, which sort of relates to the whole subcommittee on equity, that we went through earlier. And so in the meeting, we decided that, probably the first thing that we needed to do was to develop a list of potential partners, organizations within the county of San Mateo that we can partner with to help us fulfill our mission. And so we have public agencies and we have private agencies. And so, for instance, we have an organization like a Mid-Penn Regional Open Space District, which is a special district. We have an organization such as the Peninsula Open Space Trust, which is a private nonprofit, but very much engaged in acquiring properties and dedicated them for public use. And of course, we have all the cities in the county, cities in San Mateo. And of course, we've always had a relationship with the Parks Foundation. And Michelle, that was a wonderful report that you gave. And you usually give us very wonderful reports. We're really fortunate to have the kind of relationship that we have with the foundation. And there are other organizations, for instance, with Flood Park, there are going to be sports organizations that are going to utilize that, those facilities. And ultimately, they're going to have to go through the department to have the reservations made and so on and so forth. So developing relationship with those organizations as well. And when we had the meeting, we had not spoken with the director, Nicholas. And when I spoke with him, he indicated that there are ongoing partnerships already with a lot of these entities that, some of these entities that I've mentioned. They have monthly meetings, so they have regularly scheduled meetings in which the department interfaces, with this organization. And so what we decided was we're gonna still develop a list, and of course, it's gonna include all the partners that the department currently has. And the other thing we also decided was that the department is gonna begin to provide information to the commission on a regular basis as to these partnerships. And we suggested that twice a year, the director would have an agenda item specific to partnerships and what has happened within the 6 month period in terms of, the department's relationship with this partner. And so, we're going to develop a little mini action plan that is going to indicate to the commission as to, for instance, when we anticipate we're going to have a complete list of these organizations. And we'll get an opportunity to make a presentation as to why, these organizations are on the list and what expectations we have in terms of whatever relationship we have with them and how that relationship is going to fulfill our mission. And so when we come back to the commission, we hopefully are going to have, that at least a list of potential partners, both public and private, that we can develop a relationship with. So that concludes my report. Unless Neil would like to add something, or Nicholas.
Yeah, I'll go first, Nicholas. Yeah, and I want you to speak too. Yeah, we have lots of ongoing partnerships and occasionally have to work together on projects because there are cross-jurisdictional issues, and the goal, for instance, of completing a trail might go through many different jurisdictions, and it'll benefit us greatly to have a connected trail, and it'll benefit all the other jurisdictions too. And you can't really do it without working together. So Nicholas, as we go forward, if there's anything that we can do as a commission to help work with these other partners, if there's meetings that we could go to, if there's presentations, if there's just something to bring up at the commission regarding working with another agency in order to get something that is of common value done, please let us know, and I think we can help you work on issues like that in the future.
Thank you, commissioners. And one of the things I discussed at great length with Commissioner Ocala today was all the organizations that were thought of, we definitely have working relationships with, which is really invaluable for us to be able to accomplish our mission. But we are also part of 3 organizations. One is the Santa Cruz Mountain Stewardship Network, one is Together Bay Area, and one is the Peninsula Working Group. And these are all collaborations with these organizations, Mid-Penn, Post, State Parks, SFPUC, GGNRA, there's so many more. And so those are natural forums for us to have a regular dialogue. And then also I do meet with the Park and Rec directors of the cities on a regular basis. So we're certainly happy to provide updates as to how these opportunities are turning into kind of new ideas and new initiatives, and we'll certainly keep the commission updated on that.
Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think I'll just add, and then we'll see if the other commissioners have anything else to add. I think this is going to be super important for all of us to really be able to, as Commissioner Ocala said, raise kind of the visibility of the overall commission. But also, if you think about it, right, all of us commissioners are really passionate about whether it's within our district, whether it's across the across the county. So yeah, I think I would echo Neil's sentiment of, if there are other things that we can kind of step in, provide some help, attend meetings, do whatever, I think we would all be willing to, for certain things, be able to step in and help out. You just need to kind of let us know what's going to be those opportunities. Any other thoughts from the other commissioners? Because this is the last update. Let's do that, and then we'll move to public comment. All right, I will assume silence is consent. Okay, so Janet, let's open it up for public comment.
Thank you. Public comment is now open. We have one hand raised from Carlisle Ann Young. Let's see. Please accept this invitation and unmute your mic, please.
Thank you. Sorry, the mute didn't show up on my screen right away. There was 2 things that I wanted to bring up, and one is you mentioned lots of opportunities for partnering with other people. Now, the Mid-Coast Parklands used to partner and hold meetings for enhancing opportunities for Mid-Coast parks, but I think they're defunct now when the county took over Quarry Park, and there used to be Friends of Moss Beach Park, but my understanding is they're defunct now too. But I basically think we really should start finding ways to create more features for the existing properties within the mid-coast, because there is that mid-coast mitigation fee that can only be spent Montero, Moss Beach, El Granada, and Miramar and Princeton. And recently, the Board of Supervisors did a DEP for land swap with Big Wave, and they took over their south parcel, is my understanding. And the idea that was posted in the minutes of the supervisors meeting said that the community services director said that it could possibly be used for a park. So we still don't have a community center, a pool, any tennis courts, a lot of things that, for instance, you're recreating a flood park, but out here we have nothing. And it's really nice that you're putting the pump track in to Quarry Park, but it is going to be for everybody in the whole county. So we still don't have anything of our own out here that would be for not just visitor serving, but community people. And that's the whole point of the mid-coast mitigation fee, if you read through the county ordinance. Now, one more thing on the Quarry Park. Nicholas, some of the trail counters are broken, or at least they were when you sent in that report. That I looked the report up on one of the websites or reports that you had. And I wondered, are you going to start from scratch with Quarry Park? Take a reading before the pump track opens and then start taking a visitor count for when the pump track is up and running, and ribbon cutting day, start a new tabulation, because it'd be interesting to know how much more usage we're getting out of that particular park here on the mid-coast. I anticipate it's not just going to be used by coastsiders, but is that, I know you never answer any of my questions, but are the trail counters still viable at Quarry Park? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
That is the last hand raised, Chair. Oh, no, actually, one more. Fran Pollard. Ms. Pollard, please accept this invitation and begin speaking when you're ready.
Hi again. Yes, Fran Pollard, El Granada, and I am one of the founders of Mid-Coast Parkland, which created Quarry Park to begin with. And I think we could probably reestablish that if we wanted to. There's still a few of us around. And that could be a committee you can work with, or maybe you should consider working with the community, the adjacent neighborhoods that are affected by all the things that are being developed and planned in the park. So I really appreciate that, that we're listened to, because it seems like everything we request or ask or suggest is ignored. And I wish you would answer our questions. How come where do these questions and our comments go after these meetings? Are they just lost in outer space? I don't see that anything is ever done after comments are made. Thank you. Oh, wait a minute, one more thing. Because there's never enough time to speak. So I forgot to ask, how are you going to implement these rules and regulations that are posted on the pump track? Especially the hours, the kids will come and go. I mean, it says ride at your own risk. There won't be a ranger present. So how do you monitor or control anything or enforce anything? That really needs to be answered, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Laguna, that was our last hand raised.
Okay, thank you, Jenna. Okay, so from here we'll move to item 9, which I believe was an item that was requested by Commissioner Kello about the potential cancellation of the August commission meeting. So I don't know, Commissioner Kello, if you want to kick this off.
Yeah, I would like to, but before we go to the item, if you could remind the public that, you know what, a lot of issues were raised by those two speakers that were totally unrelated to the item that was being discussed. And so if we could just politely remind members of the public that, unless the comments are specific to the item that is being talked about, then the expectation should not be there that the director is going to respond.
Yes.
And it's not a deliberate action by the director not to respond. But I think we were talking about a specific item, which raises really specific issues, and bringing other issues into that item is not really going to elicit a response. And I'm sure our director does respond, to questions that are asked. I thought I would just make that comment.
That's right. No, and thank you for doing that, because that, that is the way that public comment is set up, right? There's no expectation of a direct response, but not only is this information recorded, right? So we have the recording for forevermore on the site, but also both the Parks Department and the commissioners take all of that information and we bring it, maybe not directly, but into future meetings or future agenda items as well. So thank you, Commissioner Keller.
Thank you. I suggested we put this item on the agenda because I was in public service for a very long time. And all the agencies, public agencies that I worked with, the month of August is a month where they took some time off, primarily because a lot of people go on vacation during the month of August. Their children are out of school. They can go for a trip outside of the country or to some other part of the country and so on and so forth. And I know, for instance, for me, the month of August, I may not be here. And so I just wanted to suggest to the commission that we think about the possibility of not having a meeting in that vacation month and, have our next meeting in September.
Great. Any comments or discussion from the commissioners?
Can I? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine if we want to cancel the meeting. The only thing I was thinking was that one of the subcommittees was requesting information that would be available at that committee meeting. And so if we don't have it, that'll put off that work an extra month. So I could go either way. I'm available wherever I am. I think I'll be able to zoom in. I'm assuming it's Zoom. But if people want to take a break, we have been having a lot of meetings. I'm fine with that too. Whatever the consensus is, I'll go with it.
Director Calderon, you have your hand up.
Chair Laguna, thank you. Commissioner Manuelos, I believe the subcommittee you referred to was the equity one, and with regards to the interpretive program strategic plan, consistent with the process that we're setting up, whereby issues are discussed at a subcommittee level and then brought to the full commission. We could work with that subcommittee in the month of August to bring forward the information available at that time for the interpretive strategic program strategic plan, which would allow us to not lose time on that on either end, and still, if it's the commission's desire to cancel August, be able to do that.
A nice idea. I support that. I feel like that.
Well, I think that was
everything everybody's asking for.
Yeah. No, and I think that was part of the purpose of the subcommittee, right? So that in between the meetings, we could do work and not have to bring everything to the full commission. So yeah, and similar to Neil, I'm fine either way. If folks really feel like they want to meet in August, that's great. But I'm also fine working through the subcommittees. And also a lot of the subcommittees I feel are still kind of in the planning stage. So the hope would be if we get that, that extra month of subcommittees working, we could come, the different subcommittees could come with a more substantial update as well. And sorry, Commissioner Green, I don't know if I interrupted you or not, or if you had other comments about Commissioner Okello's proposal.
Oh, it was to Director Calderon's suggestion. I would like to do that because I think on the tentative schedule Hannah had in September was to be like the was it the Quarry Park update or the flood park?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't recall, but just that there is like another substantial item waiting in September. So if we could do the what you suggested in August, you know, at a time convenient, could be this regular time or other. I'm pretty flexible, so just let me know. Thanks.
Great. Any other comments or discussion points from the commissioners? Commissioner Manna?
Yeah, I'm going to echo the remaining commissioners. Commissioner Keller makes a great point. Commissioner Merrill makes an excellent point. We've getting a lot of work done. We've had more meetings than since I've been on the commission for going on 6 years. So, it's something to take a break, but not to let our guards down in terms of the projects and work we have, because we do have a September meeting to report back to in addition. So I'm okay with taking time off, but in that time off, we could maybe do a little bit of some snippets, maybe just work on some of the addendums that we've been wanting to report back. So I'm okay with not having looks like that would be August 4th, Thursday. Thursday, August 4th would be the meeting that we would not have.
I believe so. Let me check my calendar.
Yeah, that's the correct date.
Yep.
11th is the following week, and then the 4th is Thursday. So I have engagement on the 11th, so that one's the Thursday, and then August 4th is the Thursday. So yeah, I'm okay with not being present and postpone whatever we have until September.
Great. So I think we've heard from everyone. I think before we put this up, we got to put it up for public comment. Is that right? I'm assuming, or can we just make the motion?
I think we just make a motion. We've had that in the past, but I don't know. Does this need a public comment or the public's sort of the approval?
Yeah.
I think you want to call for public comment on every action, on every item on the agenda.
Great. All right. So let's and thanks, Greg. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that and open this up for public comment.
Okay, let's give it a second. There aren't any hands raised now. There are no hands raised, Chair.
Great. Okay. So I don't know, Commissioner Kelly, you wanna make a motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we not have a meeting the month of August.
Okay, I'll second that. Oops, sorry, I jumped the gun there. All right, I'll second. Janice, you want to do a roll call?
Commissioner Marylis,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Okello,
Aye.
Commissioner Mane,
Aye.
Chair Laguna.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, great. So we'll then move to the September meeting as our next meeting, and in the interim, we'll take the time to work through the individual subcommittees, which actually I think is a great thing for us to do and a good practice for us to start getting into. So definitely looking forward to that. And if any of you guys have vacation plans or can get away as well, I think that would be fantastic. So thank you. Okay. So last item or second to last item is 10, which is items for a future agenda. So I know there were a couple of things that folks had talked about, and Commissioner Green, you and I can maybe catch up with the extra month that we have and start to pull together some of the pieces for that equity, inclusion, and access subcommittee and bring it back maybe September. I don't know, because there is some scheduled pieces, but I think that's definitely one that we should bring for a future agenda item. Does that make sense? Does that work?
Yeah, definitely. That sounds fine.
Okay. Cool. Any others?
Real quick.
Yeah, Commissioner Manning.
The chair. Is there a way that we can formulate and like I can be spearheading this or quarterbacking this along with Commissioner Mary Lee in terms of the or whoever, you know what, I'm okay with anyone that wants to put their hands in the cookie jar with this inclusion and equity and inclusion. Whoever wants to spearhead it or wants to roll the punches with, I'm game with coming on board with those ideas.
Yeah, I think the thought post our discussion was that we would just take kind of an initial crack at a framework as to how we would do it. Then we would bring it to commission for a broader, because obviously everyone seems pretty passionate about this, right? But that we would just kind of put the first kind of framework together, and then we can have a discussion and we can add, subtract, do whatever we need to. Just make sure that we kind of help to kind of frame the first discussion. So it's not saying that whatever kind of we put together is the end all be all. That's why we're bringing it to commission. But that so everyone's going to get their crack at it, right? But it's more like having Commissioner Green and myself at least set up kind of what we're thinking, and then have everyone kind of weigh in so that we have a starting point for us to go after. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, we'll put that one on. It may not. Well, maybe we can try for September, just given that we want to make some progress on it. But I know there's a couple of other things. Any other items or things that folks want to put on the agenda above and beyond just some of these some of the subcommittee updates, which I'm hoping we will continue to do every meeting. Commissioner Green.
And just, I think in the projection that Hannah had sent with the things by month, I see adopted budget September, and then also budget, where did it go? Recommended budget April. It seems like there's a pretty important piece in between there, which is something, if recommended budget is ready in April, February, something about budget proposals coming together. And I know Commissioner Okello from the Budget and Performance Subcommittee perspective had an interest in shadowing the process. So I think there's something earlier there too. I would call it, I guess I would imagine there's one around budget priorities, a brief item, and then an item around draft budget proposals, and then recommended budget. They don't all have to be super long, but that would be nice.
Cool, good. I wrote that down. Perfect.
Through the chair, just a quick comment that may be unrelated, but I'm having serious problem with my SBC Global email. And I spoke with Nicholas this morning, so a lot of the information that Hannah sent I've not received because I can't access the email. So I did give Mr. Calderon, Director Calderon, an alternative email address that I would like to start using. So anything that has been sent recently, they could be resent to me at that new address. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Good. Any other items that we want to put on the slate for a future agenda? I mean, it looks like we have our hands full with a bunch of updates as it is, but yeah, if there's anything else that folks want to add, happy to entertain it. All right.
Could I make a comment about perhaps something future than September? Now that we're working on these partnerships, is there any way we can invite somebody from some of these organizations that the department is really working with, to just give them an opportunity to address the commission? Either Mid-Peninsula Open Space District, host, somebody just come and introduce themselves and tell the commission and in essence, they really tell the public, because the public would be there watching as to what they do and so on and so forth in San Mateo County. I think I would like to suggest that we probably regularly put on schedule, not every month, perhaps every quarter, a presentation from some of these entities.
I think that would be neat. It would obviously be finding a partner that is kind of ready and has something, but I would assume that many of these partner organizations already have kind of their pitch deck or something like that, just almost like an introduction. So I don't know, Nicholas or
Right.
Hannah, and maybe you don't have to answer now, but if there maybe are some partners that, we are closer with that can, kind of jump in and do like, a quick update or provide, I guess, their set of goals and what they're trying to do. I think that might be a great way to be able to kind of further the relationships, or as Commissioner Akello said, maybe even just, have more visibility to the public as well as part of these meetings.
Here, Lugno, I'd be happy to work with Commissioner Merrilees, or Hannah and I can work with Commissioner Merrilees and Commissioner O'Kella to identify some of those and schedule them for future presentations.
Cool. Yeah, we can fill it in. Commissioner Merrilees, looks like you have your hand up.
Yeah, I know everybody's busy. I don't want to drag everybody into a meeting. But if there's somebody that you happen to be working with at the time on something that's exciting, a trail or a beach or something, it'd be nice, so that it was relevant. It'd be nice to have a presentation at that time if people are available.
Great.
Great.
Good. All right. Any other items or anything else for item 10 before we move to public comment? All right. So let's open it up for public comment.
Mr. Chair, we do have one item for public comment. I'll call on Fran Pollard. So unmute your microphone and you may begin speaking. Ms. Pollard.
Okay, I just got the mic unmuted. Well, I'd like to, if the public can do this, I'd like to suggest, as I said earlier, would you please put on, have a discussion about more parking, finding more parking for Quarry Park for all the cars that come, more than what is being proposed right now. And also a discussion on somewhere other than in the same vicinity for a dog park. I suggested Marauder Surf East some time ago. That you don't have to build anything there. You're not allowed to build. So just let people throw the ball. That's what they want to do. And let the dogs catch. And that's all. And put a couple of benches at the end there and let them play, sit and play. That's what people like to do. So I wish you'd put those on the next agenda. Dog park and extra park, more parking for this whole area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pollard. Do not see any more hands raised for this item, Chair.
Great. Okay. So with that, I move to item 11, which is adjournment. So if there's no further discussion, I'll move to close the session. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, and we will reconvene in September.
Thank you for thank you for a great meeting. This was an amazing July meeting. Very, very
Awesome.
well successful July meeting.
Fantastic. Yes, and we're before 6, so I'm excited about that as well. So I'm sure you guys are.
You can say that again.
Heather, get well, Heather.
I think she's off.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Yeah, everyone have a good one.
Have a good night.
Excellent. See y'all. Bye-bye.